We are live, Pierre.
Welcome back to the Morning Skate Show with the co-host, co-friends directly for the Sunshine State. And we have to go all the way to the West Coast to find the co-host, Michael DiVillano. Happy Tuesday.
We had some crazy games last night, Pierre.
A lot of things going on around the NHL. It's like I mentioned this weekend during the, I think it was the live stream from Montreal Canadiens. I believe it's a season what I call like chaos, where it's like everything is roller coaster or something supposed happening, and then it's another thing, and injuries, and the team don't do well. The team does surprise. It's all the chaos right now. You know what I mean? Like if you're an expert and you completely have this on your board, you are really the Grim of the Hall of Famer right now. But first of all, welcome everybody. Yamo from Finland and Adam Berger from Vegas.
Kind of a crazy night, Pierre. Who would have ever predicted some of these things were going on? One of them, which really was like, I didn't think this was going to happen. Buffalo winning 5-1, and I hope Terry Pegula shows up today.
It's surprise, of course, Tampa Bay, right? Brian Elliott was between the pipe yesterday. Denis Kucherov, they don't have a great year so far, 2-3-1. But I think on the flip side, we have to give credit. Like, is it really a surprise? I'm not sure it is anymore. Because now they beat Montreal, they beat Tampa, they beat other team, and they are like, what, 4-1 now or 5-1?
Yeah, they've only lost one game.
So, you know what I mean? Like, we can say it's a surprise, but at some point we have to stop to say it's a surprise, but believe in what they are doing right now. And, Andersen, 41 years old, maybe is a new Mike Smith for the upcoming year.
And you look great.
Yeah. So,
what is going on? Like he looked like he was done in Ottawa. And now he goes to Buffalo. You got a coach that's got these guys playing aggressively. They're playing with structure. They don't care whose name is on the back of the jersey. Casey Middlestad's doing nothing. He's not there. They're getting goals. Yeah, like there's nothing happening. You expect that's the guy that's going to get points. And they're spreading out the offense. And they don't care who you are. They're in your face. Like, this has been pretty impressive.
Yeah, one thing you forgot, Andersen, was what Washington last year have only like 1-2-1, and it's like a save percentage of 0.87. They have a really bad overall. He was a strength number 3 inside of this organization. He came back at some point because Samsonov was like COVID-19. But again, Andersen, you have a good career around in NHL if you think about that part also. But now, it's a team right now, I believe sometime you have to give credit for the head coach, Granado, and plan a great system. And this you have to remember, Michael, we're all surprised, but you have to go back all the way last season at the end of the year when Granado picked up the team after the 18 loss, everything like that, right? And then they finished a little bit better, and then everybody all in, and everybody was complaining a little bit. No Jack Eichel, and then they trade Ristolainen and Sam Reinhart, and it looked like the last laugh right now is Kevin Adams,
right? And Terry Pegula.
So, I think that's the point about that. But before we talk, we welcome Mr. Jimmy Christo. Jimmy. Number 1 fan Montreal. He's always complaining, but he loves Montreal. Just kidding, Jimmy. Great to see you this morning. We have also Kimberly Enoch from the Sunshine State, but on the West Coast this morning. Of course, talking about the Finland. One that said also the double Finland, Veleo, where it's now going to be. We have to call him the Wizard, because the Wizard is the transition in Finland. And of course, Oleg Kolesnikov. Welcome back, buddy. Thanks to join us. What's going on with you, Tampa Bay, Mr. Oleg? Because he's a big fan
surprising.
Of this. So,
listen, this you look at their record; they're not out of anything by any means. It's not like this is the champion twice in a row. They've played a lot more hockey than everybody else, and everyone that went deep in the playoffs is having challenges, and it's going to even out. They're just too good not to. As long as they stay healthy, they're just trying to pace themselves. I mean, I think they'll get it together. Maybe they make a move, but I don't think they have to.
But again, you have to be careful because again, I don't know why John Cooper does it. That's the second game he does this year, and the player does not like it. Last night, Edmund Stanko, so someone else finished with -4. Two of them is an empty net, and the player hate that.
I hate
to do that. So
like,
I don't know yet. I don't get it honestly. Detroit did the same thing. Jeff Basil have 5-1 against Montreal Canadiens at 6-7 minutes. He take out the goaltender.
Yeah.
This is not. I believe this is not right on my side. But on the flip side, I want to mention this to you because you love Detroit. Great interview this morning with Jeff Basil about his team, but also about Nedeljkovic, the goaltender.
Yeah.
And he said the reason they trade for him, Michael, because I want you to bring behind the science with that. He said, we want him for one reason. Is a guy compete, and he's always been, again, the underdog, like at the state challenge. He came from almost like East Coast Hockey League, and nobody believed on him. He fight every night, every day, perseverance, never quit, everything like that. He said, that's what we're looking for at this organization, a kind of mindset where the players compete every night, and whatever is a challenge, we want them to understand it's the key is never quit in hockey, everything like that. So it was great to hear, the under side of what they're looking sometimes for players, not only the talent is skilled, but also the mindset, the behavior of the players, everything like that. And that's why, because sometimes we don't understand why he's always still behind that bench over there. And I think you have a really great relationship between Yzerman and Basil behind that.
Yep. And I think that Stevie had his chance to move him, and he said, no, I trust him. And he looks like he's evaluating him on how is he preparing the team. I think the first year that Stevie took over, the compete level has improved since then. And that was the big problem. I think they had better personnel in some cases and didn't show up. It was like they knew they were going to lose. And then last year you saw that switch, and you saw that they were starting to compete halfway through. It was really hard for the people to show up against them, and that's what they needed. Now they're adding talent. So I think it's the right formula. And if he ends up being the coach, I don't care as long as they win. But when I see stuff like that, where you're pulling the goalie, you don't have a feel for whether you have possession, that says at some point there's another level of evaluation for this guy. And you can talk all you want about philosophy, but when you got to win, can you win? And I'm not convinced of that. And he's got to prove that. And Nedeljkovic is the same. Like, he is yet to pull together what I would say would be a starting goalie game. And we saw that with Grice last year. And these guys are going to get more rope than normal. I think the opposite of this is Toronto. There's not the media pressure in Detroit that there is in Toronto. Because can you imagine if they were having the lean 9 years, Pierre, 9 lean years that Detroit has? Like, they're making videos on losing the first round that they're going to win the cup. Like, what are you talking about? So the pressure on the players is very crazy there versus Detroit. And I think right now the knives are out, especially after last night. So let's just switch gears a little bit. Our friend Yarmo was mentioning that Carolina versus Leafs was a fast game and Toronto tried, but not good enough. What does that tell you about this Toronto team?
I believe Toronto did not show up yesterday. They scored on the wrap-up goal of Matthews, but if you look about the net possession of the puck and everything like that, and the shot, the end it was a little bit closer. But I think the only reason it's not more is because Campbell have an amazing, great first period. I think the shot was 15 something. I don't know in front of me the stat, but it's on the flip side, Michael, is like let Toronto on the side, but think about maybe we talk a lot about Florida and Edmonton, but on the structure, on the organized, and on the system, on the special team, on the everywhere every time they play. I believe the Carolina Hurricanes right now, they are the best team in NHL. from the top to the bottom. Well done. They make the other team look bad at the end of the night. I watched them 3 games this year, and it's no matter who they are, they play the same way. It's just a team understand what Brenda Moore does. He wants, and they show this night, every game, every night.
Game.
And you can see that whatever is the goaltender, whatever the jersey to opponent team, they completely, destroy Montreal, Toronto. Remember the first game, your calendars, if I can recall you that, Cody. So and I think they beat Tampa Bay, if I can call it. I'm not sure it was Tampa Bay. I think they beat them at home. So it's a I think for me, it's the best team on my eyes for that one over there. So would be really interesting what they're going to do. But we talk about Florida a lot, and also the Edmonton, but Carolina, wow, this is a machine.
They're a machine.
Done for them.
Like, they've integrated 8 or 9 new players. They don't have their number 1 defenseman, Doug Hamilton.
Yeah, no goalie, Michael, in July.
The goalie, sorry.
They have no goalie in July.
Yeah, they had no goalies in July.
Yeah.
Now, some would argue they didn't have goalies last year. We're seeing Peter Mrazek's capable. The other
last year, Michael, the number of their goal again was one of the best in NHL.
Right. And now look at those goalies. They're struggling without the system. This is a team. And what was really interesting, whenever I see a team, and the other team I will compare this to are the New York Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes, have the same characteristic. Regardless of what goalie you put in his historical average, in those teams, their save percentage and their goals against are almost identical between the goalies. And what that tells me is they're picking the shots that you get through to their goalie. And the goalie is getting the highest percentage shots that he can. It's not a mystery what's getting through. And I believe Barry Trotz and Rod Brindamore have that in common, because it's really unusual to see Peter Mrazek with the same save percentage as the other goalies. And now you're seeing it with the Islanders, that Varlamov and Sorokin's numbers are almost identical. So there's something there. And the opposite of that is Chicago. And the opposite of that is Toronto, where they're playing this like fire wagon style and letting the players do whatever they want. And you see the result, like the numbers are crazy. But
I think the Islanders and the Carolina, for me, is the transition. So they have a chance to get the puck on their plate, they all the way come back to under their way, and they'll join the play all the time.
Right.
On the flip side, for me, it's not the same way. Where the Chicago is small, no defenseman. Right now, the defense is really terrible, and it's a problem come every year. On the flip side, right now, Toronto struggle more. We have to be careful here with Toronto.
Yeah.
Because if you go on the analytics, they are the best team in NHL on the chance to score. They have the best chance, the number 1 in the NHL for creating opportunities. They have another category. They are number 1 in NHL right now. The problem right now, they cannot put a puck behind the net. That's the problem right now, is the offensive side, where they cannot buy a goal, everything like that. So again, I'm not saying I don't want to. I understand they're not looking good right now. And at the end of the day, it's the best player does not produce
this is
what they should do, and without them, and that team don't go nowhere, because Matthews and Marner and Tavares and Nylander a little bit, but the last 3 games, those 4 players have only 1 goal each other, so it's not a lot. You have a lot of people in the chat, Michael.
Yeah, 1 second, but look at the stats on the screen. And if you looked at this and said, this is Mitch Marner, would you believe it? 1 assist in 7 games, Pierre, and a -4. Like, this is a $10 million player. Like, that's not cool. It's not acceptable. And you go back to the playoffs, and I'm scared to see in the last, 11, 12 games what he's got. It's basically goose eggs. So there's a big problem.
He's part of one piece of the puzzle, right? He's a part of, he's a one. My point is for me, it's a team concept right now. It's not only one. He's the one you have to produce, because that's what he's supposed to. By the end of the year, he's going to have 80 points. He's going to have his 20 goals. It's just a bad way for right now for that team. So for me, it's like we have to wait a little bit longer. Like people panic a lot in Toronto right now, but the team's going to find a groove. They're going to find a way. But again, they are maybe they are not the team what maybe the people was expect, but without Marner and Matthews, unfortunately, that team cannot do a lot.
So I'm going to bring up one more thing, and I sent this to you earlier. The guy that always starts all the changes in Toronto, because someone starts leaking it to this guy, is Steve Simmons. So if you want to know what the Toronto brass above the brass are thinking, you go to Steve Simmons. And he's a little biter, but if you look at what he says, this is what someone's thinking, which is he's talking about Mike Babcock getting fired. And the guy that started the knives out on Mike Babcock was Steve Simmons. And that's because someone in the Toronto brass above Brendan Shanahan was feeding this to him. Or it might have been, Kyle Dubas. You don't know. But that's always been the history in Toronto. And you look at what he's talking about. Now he's comparing these guys as if, and this is when this starts happening and they're starting to question if Dubas or Keefe or even Shanahan have a job. It's really funny how in Toronto that can happen. So I think it's something to keep an eye on. I've always kind of looked at this guy. I don't like him. And that's because he's a bit of a rat. Like he gets his stories from inside and they're never positive. Anyway, so I think it's something to keep an eye on. There's something real going on in Toronto. In the end, they just got to win and those guys got to play better. But right now, it's just not happening. To your point, there's a lot of people in the chat. Good morning to, where did I see? Johnny Golden joined us. Good morning. Kelly says 100% Keefe or Dubas will be gone. I would be surprised if something doesn't happen here.
Not yet. But if one of the two have to go, it will be at the beginning. It will be Dubas.
Yeah, I think it's 50-50. I think you might be right. But I think it's pretty tough to defend what Sheldon Keefe has done. Last year you could argue that his numbers should have been better. The year before, he kind of took over a situation that wasn't amazing. If you evaluate what he's doing on the ice, he gets frequently outcoached. Like he was up 3-1 against Montreal, and I understand Carey Price, but you could argue that the things he did, the decisions he made in the bench, and we said this at the time, he's not up to that level to adjust his team because he doesn't prepare them like other NHL teams do. So it'll be interesting to see. I think both of them have culpability here. There's definitely an issue with both of them, and they've got to prove it out. And we'll see if they get the rope to do it more. Smith says, apparently you haven't watched any Habs games.
I don't know what this is coming from.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't know what he tried to mention this. I would like he mentioned more about that statement to be sure we can give him an answer.
Isn't Cooper notorious for pulling the goalie too early? I think that he is. Yeah, it's kind of annoying. Carolina was much better. Slavin really fooled Marner on the blue line and goal.
I had a great game for Slavin yesterday. 2 assists, and he was the quarterback over there. Very quiet offensive player last season, Slavin, but he showed again. But again, like any team, this team is so balanced. One night is Slavin, the next night is Pesci, the next night is another one. So, and Frederick Andersen win again his ex-team. So, overall, they get, happiness within Carolina.
Oh, my goodness. If you're Freddie Andersen, you're like, thank you for not signing me.
Yep.
He gets out of a hotbed where there's there's constant chatter. You're always overexposed to the media, which is the breakfast, lunch, and dinner in Toronto. And now you go to Carolina where there's beaches, you got a great coach, and you got a deep team, and you have a chance at Stanley Cup for real, not just imaginary.
Yep.
Tap says the second goal by Steve Lawrence showed the difference between the work ethic of Carolina versus Toronto. And the one name that keeps coming up is Zach Hyman. And the loss of Zach Hyman, sometimes it's like that game Jenga. And, in this case, they keep taking out the bottom to keep the top. And that doesn't work in hockey. And they keep taking out the middle, and eventually the whole thing's going to fall over. And yeah, you got your best players. I get that. And maybe someone would argue that's the foundation, but you can't win the game when the tower falls down. So you need guys like a Steve Lawrence and a Zach Hyman. Those are the types of players that if they're showing up and contributing, you're in good shape. And that's why Carolina is successful. Good morning to NHL Hockey News and Reports. We're so happy to see you this morning. Carolina was great. KK plays 12 minutes and was -1. So Kotkaniemi not really working out in Carolina as we predicted.
So far, so he's not, he exposed him against Montreal Canadiens, but otherwise, the rest of the season is about 12 minutes, and now he's -2, I believe, or something like that. But
I think that you're seeing that the problems that we're worried about with him are the same things probably that Montreal knew. Like, I think Montreal understood this. It's not like he's been a huge producer for them. So I think for them to look at it and go, $6 million for this guy, I'd rather take a chance and spend a little bit less on Dvorak. This is a pure revenge move on Carolina, and that's why they only went on in 1 year.
Will be interesting to see that.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. The only thing that should be kept of was I don't know what. Toronto also had a couple shots on the post, but better team won. KK is not looking good on Carolina, but we don't need to talk about him. Yeah, he's an unusual one. So it's going to be a story all year. I don't think this is going to get better, to be honest with you. I saw Canadian Giant joined us. Good morning to the Canadian Giant. We have a lot of people here this morning. Bruno says good morning. Says bonjour.
Bruno, bonjour, mon Bruno.
Yeah, and Alex Nelkovic, I think signing Ronta. The one thing I mentioned to you, Pierre, was when I talked to my friend who's in Arizona, and he's director of player personnel over there. The one thing they said about Ronta was, if you look at this guy's numbers, the last 5 years, he's in the top 5 of the NHL. The problem with him is he can't stay healthy. He's very injury prone, and they didn't have a solution for that. But he actually predicted he would go to Carolina, and he would have a great year for them. So statistically, I think they've got 2 better goalies, and we haven't really seen him yet, though. Have we seen him play a game yet for Carolina?
No.
So that tells you something too. So that's kind of interesting.
He don't have a good number yet last year. He didn't play well last year like Arizona, but overall, it was again a salary cap problem with Nedeljkovic, and I think they saw him grow inside this organization, and he knew they would not be a number 1 goaltender in the future. They didn't want to give him a $3.5 million per year, and that's the reason why they let him go. And it was better to sign a backup number 2. When they got Andersen, they said, let's go pick up a backup number 2 at $2 million, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, so his numbers were definitely off last year. 5 and 5. They were a bad team. 336, not normal for him. But if you look at the prior, he's a pretty impressive goaltender on paper. But the problem
he's a good backup number 2, right?
Yeah. He's like a 1B.
So we'll see what he's going to do this year. But again, Andersen's always been a 55 goal a game per year. So he's going to see
Carolina's never had
number over there. So it'll be interesting. But right now, Andersen is really the number 1 over there.
So Oleg says, I think now there's a period when decreased productivity by some players like Palat, Point, Cirelli. I don't want to say this, but it affects the lack of a Kucherov. Maybe. But I think
the lack of the reason Brendan Point works with Kucherov. And if you look about no game, if you get all the stats of Brendan Point without Kucherov and with Kucherov, it's a ratio of 2-for-1.
Is it?
So last year, he had 48 points and 56 games. Now Kucherov's coming back. Now it's like, 32 points with 20 game, believe. So you can see what Kucherov bring on the 2 other players. He carry on that line, and without them. On the flip side, Cirelli is not the guy who's going to do 60, 70 points. He's a guy who play a 2-way. He's a great center number 2.
Yeah.
He's going to be maybe 10, 12 goals, and he's going to be 25 assists, 40 points per year. I believe he's good more. But again, it's not like, that line is more Stamkos and Killorn run that line more. Him is more the 2-way, play really well. He's a great hockey player, but it's not for the offensive side.
No, he's there for grit, goes to the net. He wins faceoffs. He does things. He'll get you goals that you don't expect. He'll score you goals when you need them. You're like, hey, we got to get a go-ahead goal. That's the guy that gets it. He's like, I got it. Don't worry. And listen, I don't want to say anything bad about Point. I look at his numbers last year: 48 points, 56 games. You're right. His production was, 23 and 23, but the 14 goals stands out. 2, 1, and 3 is not the end of the world. He's going to get points. The -5 is the biggest challenge right now. And I feel like they're overplaying Vasilevsky, but I think we also saw Brian Elliott might not be the answer here.
He did not too bad yesterday, honestly. If you
Really?
watch his game, it was not too bad. He was not like, because of him. I think last year they don't have nobody. It's right now is the team concept. They don't do well and they lost confidence and they have to step up. But again, listen, it's another team like Montreal lose a lot of players. You just mentioned about 5 minutes ago, Michael, why Carolina is solid? Because the bottom 6 over there play and they bring and collaborate more at the team. Right now, they lost the full line, the third line, plus Tyler Johnson at the 4th line, and now you don't play with Kucherov. At some point, you're going to. That's what's happening right there. So it's a lot of change over there. They have a lot, and then I don't think so. The player they have right now are the same quality, skill, and team play all together. You can say Corey Perry, but again, you can see Corey Perry now is 0-0-0. So Matthew Jose have 1 goal in that line, and then Ross Colton does not play at the level he should play. Anyway, but that team,
there's a lot of
the
pieces.
reason why they are right now 2-3-1 in the wall. But my biggest concern, not a concern, I'm sure you'll be fine. But Vasilevsky did not been Vasilevsky at that moment. That's the biggest problem right now for the Tampa Bay.
I think he needs a rest. Like these guys have played a lot of hockey the last 2-3 years, like more than everybody else, and the lockout did not help that. So I think that catches up to guys. They feel like, oh my God, it's like Groundhog Day, right? All right, so Yarmo mentioned that who's the other one? Nick Ritchie hit Pesce on the face, no penalty. Interesting. Ovi hit on Jake Paul, no penalty. Who's Jake Paul? Oh, Nick Paul.
Yeah.
Stampo's elbow, no penalty.
Yeah, but a lot of bad hit, like you mentioned. We're not going to pass a long time this, but during the last couple of days, they have Chris Traeger on Josh Norris, Stamkos on Girard, Ovechkin yesterday. No reason to hit Nick Paul. They have also Ritchie on Pesce, and then you have another one. I think it was yesterday happened to Rangers maybe. So it's a lot of no call from the ref, and not necessary to hit someone between a number and the boarding or behind. So I just want to mention follow up with him over there.
Yeah, you would have thought that this would have been the season where they really kind of cracked down. That's the way they sounded, but it doesn't seem like they're doing that. Yarmo says Ville Husso is from Finland is 100%. So he gets a shutout last night. We'll talk about that versus LA. 11 million Diz Lezik. Thanks for joining us. 11 million for Marner, and he's got 1 assist and a -4 in 7 games. Pretty rough. And NHL Hockey News reports, I think this is like what happens in Toronto. Buy out Marner. Trade Marner. Listen, he's a really talented player. There's something not clicking there. I think he needs a strong hand. He did much better, I think, under a Mike Babcock and he's not. We're seeing what he is. He's a talented player, but you still have to have structure around you. And I think there's another comment here about, constantly changing all the pieces. The problem with the Leafs, as Intertap says, is their defense is a bit of a challenge, too many giveaways, but it's hard not to have giveaways when you're not playing a structured style. Like you have to have a system in place that says, when I have possession, this is what I do.
Michael, you have to give them credit. Last year, they have a great system. Dave Estal, it was the best year for the last 4 years on the goal again. Every time that. My point to you about this is this part. Their defense right now, Justin Ole and Marsden struggle a lot. Morgan Riley does not play at the level he should play. And Brody is very quiet right now. So on that point right now, their defense is really where they are. They not play at the level they should play. But I think last year their defense was better. And that's what you can see that one over there where you give a lot of shot back when you make a lot of turnover or You know what I mean? So that's what they have the biggest problem. Of course, we talk about Marner, they not score, but that's something there.
So did Manny Malhotra replace Hackstall? Is that who the coach is?
I can't remember. It's the guy from Carolina last year.
So it's Manny Malhotra, or?
Yeah, I believe. Is the coach left for the Carolina Hurricane, came from Dave.
Interesting. Well, that unfortunately hasn't worked out. He was a good defensive player. Yeah. Well, Svechnikov got another goal last night. Slavin definitely had an awesome night. Aho continues to roll on. Their best players are their best players. I think it's good for Toronto that Bunting seems to be working out. To me, I think that's a good player they picked up, but it's not enough right now. They gotta figure something out. The D, I wonder how much of the problem with Morgan Riley is he doesn't have a contract. It seems so strange that they haven't worked harder and locked this guy down. And I understand the money situation, but you put yourself in that situation. And I think Donnie here, thanks for joining us, says that's what a good journalist does, referring to Steve Simmons. I don't think Steve Simmons is a good journalist. I think he's a rat. He's always been a rat. He's the pipe to the negative stuff in Toronto. He's never pro Toronto Maple Leafs. And he's the number one rumor leaker. And he starts stories against Toronto players, against Toronto management, and it always ends up in those guys leaving. So I don't think that's a good journalist. Weber with the team in Seattle. What role would you have for him? Well, I just don't think he's ever going to play again, though.
You don't think that he go there for only 2 days, say hi everybody, and step around everything like that. That would be back home. No role to play with the team. Is the guy is going to be try to recovery, everything like that. So it's nothing like, it's nice for him to be around. Our team would be a little bit more energized, the team, to see him around and everything like that. But unfortunately, that's it. We'll be back home, and then you wish the best for his recovery, everything like that. So nothing. He's not going to California. He just only say hi to them. And yesterday, the team flew earlier, Michael. They flew, I think it was Monday morning earlier, and they practiced late afternoon on the Eastern time. But that's what they did to acclimate, and then they played tonight. So that's nothing else.
Good morning to Frank Zalazar. He doesn't have very kind words for Toronto fans. Donnie Brasco, again, talking about Sheldon Keefe, says he loses to bad teams and he's tied to David Frost. So he should never have been in the league. David Frost was a bad situation. There was a group of players in Toronto that included Sheldon Keefe, but they were players. I mean, I don't think that Sheldon Keefe did anything wrong in that scenario. I think that was a guy that definitely wasn't a great guy, did a lot of really questionable things with young players, and they created havoc in the places they were as players because the guy that was parading them around was a problem. And that relationship broke. And any of the guys that I've met that were David Frost players that were tied up in that, they've all gone on to coach Pierre. Like most of them are still involved in the game. They had a bit of a career. And I had no problem with any of them. Like Ryan Martin was another one we interviewed in Milton. Like, I think that this has got to go away. But, this is the sort of thing that happens in Toronto. Like, a story is never dead.
The only thing I would correct this, when he said they lose against a bad team, Carolina is first place. Pittsburgh did not lose yet. San Jose is 5-1. Rangers are now 4-2-1. The only team they lost is against Ottawa. So at some point, and again, I'm not defending Toronto, but did not lose again the worst. You know what I mean? Like, if you lose again the Chicago, right? Like tomorrow night, they lose against Chicago. That's you have a question. But this tomorrow is like the team's going to lose, Michael, tomorrow. They are going to be on fire the next day because now you're going to get Chicago. But I don't see Chicago beat Toronto. I don't see it right now. I believe this game will be Toronto. But if Toronto lose against Chicago, this is like the end of the world in Toronto. I don't know, but I just want to correct this about that.
Ronnie Odette, good morning, and thank you for joining us. They got the 26-year-old rookie Bunting. I think this was a smart thing, Pierre. Like, I like him. He's a former GTHL player, played for the Don Mills Flyers when I think he played in the Max Domi era. He's always scored at every level, and we saw last year he got 10 goals in 21 games. This is a guy that deserved a contract with Arizona, but we know the situation they're in. And what I'm thinking about him, he doesn't score pretty goals. he just goes to scoring areas. Like, you would think a guy like that wouldn't be in the NHL because he's soft, but that's not what he's doing. So I think this was actually a good move for them. I think that what they miss is a Zach Hyman. They miss a structure, and they need Morgan Riley to play better for sure. But they have two, like, I don't know. They just have too many pieces missing.
Alex, at that moment, I don't want to be mean to Donnie, but right now, Bunting have more goal at Marner, Tavares, and Matthews.
Right.
Yeah, 4 points. So he's the same number of Nylander. So I know you maybe not like him, but him. Right now he's one of your top best player at that moment.
Yeah, I like him, Pierre. If you watch the way he plays, you're like, wow, this guy's like in everybody's face. He'll have 4 red jerseys around him grabbing him because he's trying to get the puck. He doesn't care. Ronnie Odette says the man's incredible. Alex Ovechkin needs 158 goals to pass Gretzky. I hope it never happens. But right now, he's on fire. We'll look at that game, too. All right, so quickly, attendance in Buffalo last night was 7,400, Pierre. That's pretty rough. And yet they're winning.
I just want to correct again. It's not -5, it's -2 in 7 games. And I understand they lost against Columbus, Montreal, and San Jose, but you cannot live in the past. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot say, oh, they lose against a bad team. And right now, San Jose looking great. Like, I understand where your point of view, but he cannot come backwards. No. And because the team was not good for years, and now they are not the same. Like, if you lose against Buffalo, are you going to tell them right now, like Tampa Bay lost against Buffalo? So you're going to tell me, like, you have to give credit for the team where they are today, not in the past, because you're going to say at some point, you're going to say the team is going to be always bad. You're going to play against the team where they're going to get beat by the team, never make the playoffs. So I'm not sure about your comments about that.
So let's move on to talk about the Washington game. This was a wild one versus Ottawa. Lots of goals, 12 goals, Pierre. We haven't seen this type of hockey in a long time. Batherson got his first NHL hat trick, which was good. TJ Oshie, this guy continues to produce offensively, but the other guy is Alex Ovechkin. So it's amazing. Like, he's really just had a great start to the year. He's shooting for whatever he can get, 50, 60 goals, I think. Great.
The way he play right now, Michael, I think he's going to beat Wayne Gretzky record this year.
Well, he thinks he can get them all now. He thinks he can score 160 in 1 year.
He's unbelievable.
It's pretty unbelievable. I'm not a big fan, but you gotta say, like, when you look at the stats, it's pretty crazy. Anton Forsberg allowed 4 goals on 16 shots and was pulled. And then Gustafsson, I think Gustafsson is like showing this guy's a real stopgap. Like, he played 23 saves. He played great for them last night.
Well, it was a wild game. First of all, the game was 4-1 for Washington. They come back with 3 goals, Ottawa, to tie the game 4-4. And then after that, Washington come back with 2 goals at the end of the 2 period. Breakaway by Ovechkin, scoring the 5-0. And then after, so that becomes 6-4 after that. And then you can see the 3rd period. But the turnover is Ovechkin scoring 6 of the year at 16-27, where he got a breakaway and he scored that change completely. I feel that goal killed the momentum of the Ottawa because they come back 4-4. Yeah. And then DJ's Oshie scored another goal after that. Pretty much it was the end. But again, they tried to come back 6-5. Yeah. And then both of them scored the 3rd period, got their hat trick of the evening, where they already have 11 hat trick this year. This from a long time ago didn't happen in NHL at that moment. So a lot of goals on that game. And, I predict 6-4 yesterday morning, yesterday about that game. But it's a game where Washington show who they are. And on the flip side, if you're Ottawa Senator right now, don't, be patient. They have a lot of good players they can score. They have a lot of good young kids, and they show yesterday. But be patient. I think the key problem right now, Ottawa, is the goaltender. Again, Matt Murray. The good news about Matt Murray is a neck area problem. Okay. But he's on the day-to-day. So it's not like a week or month. That's good. But again, Matt Murray, since he's with Ottawa, Michael, never been, on the between the pipe. He's always been injury and everything like that. And last year, as a new team, new move, COVID-19, he never been established to show what he can do. But again, that's another big problem they have with Ottawa right now. I don't think so. Forsberg and Gustafsson is the right answer as a goaltender over there. But patient and it's excited as a fan. I know you lost, but listen, 7-5. That's a lot of goal.
Kai Lindstrom, thanks for joining us. Buffalo won again. That's nuts. When is Red Wings' next match? I haven't looked. I'll check. Johnny Golden was talking about how Harvard season hasn't started, so they're still waiting to see Sean Farrell. Yarmo was talking about Kucherov, the power play machine. Just to wrap up on the Washington topic, Tkachuk gets his second assist, so he's starting to get in there. Norris has a pretty solid game offensively. The guy that's doing real well, Chris Tierney, getting some points. We're seeing Batherson justify his contract. I also like to see this, where Connor McMichael's starting to get points and he's in key positions. And Tom Wilson, wow, 7 assists, no goals. I wouldn't have expected that.
Detroit play tomorrow against Washington at Washington.
All right, so the other game that we wanted to look at quickly was Florida. Florida playing Arizona. We won't take a lot of time on this. What were your thoughts on the Florida Panthers against Arizona? Joe Gordon gets on the board.
You know, it's going to be a long season for Ottawa, for Arizona. It's not pretty. The score don't show exactly what's happening, but you know they have one goal and one shot and a breakaway for Arizona, first one of the But again, last night one is not Barkov, is Huberdeau. Once not Huberdeau, is Bennett. Once not Bennett, it's Reinhardt. Once not Reinhardt, it's Duclair. Now you have to include now Jumbo Joe, and now you have to put Veterano, and they all scored the first goal of the year for them. So we're still waiting a little bit more about the Orvis. But again, you have to be a little bit careful about those games. You don't want those games slippery between your hands because you want to keep it. That's the death one. And it was 4-1. Everything looking great for the Panthers after 2. And then you got a 2-goal back-to-back, O'Brien and Kessel. The sad news about that game is Timmins got checked by it was a legal check for the hip from Kudus. And obviously, Timmins, I don't know the gravity of this, but he was not looking good. He could not put his weight on the left leg. I can recall it. So he's going to be a big loss for them, for sure. But, sometimes it's like some injury happening, Michael, with nothing like major, a bad hit or someone tried to hurt someone, just a normal hit. And the legs got squeezed between the board and the Kudos body. And it will be interesting to follow with him. But overall, that game, Spencer Knight, Michael, another W, did not lose as a regular season as a goaltender in NHL. So that proved what Spencer Knight doing. And Carolina will now become the first team in NHL at 6-0-0-0. They are undefeated team. And it's a team really balanced. The team's doing well. And it's going to be great about that. Talking about the Florida Panthers, when not welcomed by the monkey. He just show up at the right time. Rick Bengal said, "Go Abs, go." Yes, sir. We'll see what they're going to do tonight. The Panthers game, we're just getting Arizona have a one shot for 24 minutes. Exactly what I said. Orvis have a 3 assists, I think. Yes. So Orvis is the one where he does score a lot this year, but he bring a lot behind, He's a veteran right now, played last year most of the top 6. Now he play more the bottom 6. He understands his role, but he's another great asset on the power play in front of the net, everything like that. So, that's my point was mentioned is well balanced over there. It's a team really well about that one over there. Florida fell asleep at key point of that game, still top cat, but at the end of the that's what happening about this it's a game where you cannot lose, and sometimes you just fall asleep, or you say it's going to be easy, and then Arizona surprised them with a goal, But again, right now, Jonathan Huberdeau, UB, he's really hot at that moment, have a lot of hot streak, and so we have to give him credit about that one over there. And I was Timon did not lift his head, couldn't see anything. I agree with you. I'm worried about Vegas tonight, play Colorado. Yes, you should be worried. I'll tell you why. Because Colorado right now is getting hot. They just get out, Michael, of a great game again at Tampa Bay. They won on shootout, and also McKinnon with 3 points. It's all the bad news about this for the Vegas, where tonight, unfortunately, I don't see them have a good game again them. But Vegas is another team where I struggle with injuries, everything like that. So that's what happened for them.
Yeah, Vegas is going to be interesting. I don't know how they're going to come out of that, but I think they'll be okay. Are you worried for the Kraken? I don't think they're. I mean, I think they're showing what they are. I don't know if there's much upside here. They need to make some changes.
I have a couple. I just did the pregame show. I'm going to make the video a little bit later. But the Kraken have some area, Michael, are strong, and then on the strong they are very bad. First, their PK is amazing, 85.7%, one of the top in NHL. On the flip side, they are the worst, gave a lot of goals. So it's really strange when you study their team, do you know who has the most minutes the TOI time on the ice right now? I don't get it. It's Yannick Gourde. Yannick Gourde have the most time on the ice right now for that team at 22 minutes.
Well, they think he's going to be their franchise player.
So that's what the concern. So all those defense are maybe more balanced, but most of them play about 20 minutes. But that was like, wow, this is strange for me. Jared McCann have a good year so far, 3 goals.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, and then Brendan Danev 3 goals. Not worried, but if the team can beat you, is the Kraken, because they play a game really with forecheck. They skate well. Their skate is there. You know what I mean? So, and again, their defense struggle on the defense. Their zone coverage, Michael, that's where they struggle a lot. So they have to get better. But and they have a lot of score. Their goal, I think, is 2.17 per game. So they have the bottom. So you can see have its front number where they are really good, and on the flip side, they are not good. They give a lot of shots, but they don't shoot a lot in the puck. So it's front misplace their stat at that moment. It's a young team. They will play together. But Montreal, if you have to win right now, it's tonight, Montreal. Montreal have to win tonight to prove back a little bit more, get the momentum, and start their trip, a full game. And the West was not going to be easy. Thursday, San Jose. San Jose is doing well. Then after that, you get LA, and they have to play back-to-back again Anaheim. So it's not going to be easy what we think it was supposed to be at the beginning of the year. So that trip, Montreal, would be great if they can get at least 2-1-1 or a 5-point trip. And plus, that's what they need to come back home. After that, they have a couple more games at home. After that, they get Detroit when they come back for it. So you have a chance, Michael, to be 3-1, and maybe after that 4-1 with Detroit if they beat them. And that turn around their season at that moment. But again,
they would need that.
All the my honesty, Montreal is just an average team in NHL at that moment.
Yep, I agree. I don't know. I think going back to the Kraken, I think that going back to the expansion draft, the one player that I wish they had taken was Ryan Johansson. And I think he's had a great start to the year. One thing you can see about him, when he shoots the puck, he has a great shot. And the big problem with him is he never shoots. He's always dishing it off. And we saw the other night he popped 2 goals. He's had a really good start to the season. He's had some injury problems in the past. And I think he would have been a player that would have really, really responded to the opportunity to go. So I think they should have taken a chance on a guy like that, even though his salary seemed kind of high. I think it would have been worth it. They had the money, and they passed on Tarasenko. And Tarasenko was sour. I mean, Tarasenko's looking solid. Now, he's on a much better team. But they're going to have a hard time justifying if they think, well, we don't have any goal scorers, but you could have grabbed a couple guys. And if they think Yanni Gourde's going to be their star, maybe. But I think Yanni Gourde's a great second-line player that was playing third line. And I think that's what that'll pan out like. I love the Jared McCann pickup. I mean, when you watch him game in and game out, this guy can really shoot the puck. He does a lot of other things without the puck that I like. So I think that's going to really work out for them.
On the defense, Michael, I would say one thing.
Vince Dunn drives me nuts.
At the defense, I would say to you, they thought with Vince Dunn with a lower salary and to be the top 4 defenseman.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing. The second thing I would say to you, I don't want to, you're wrong. I think you're right. But I think the problem is I will be me. as the GM, I would be concerned about the shoulder injury.
The shoulder for Tarasenko.
At 7.5. Then he become a UFA, Michael, after that. So a lot of things could be, as a GM, you may be thinking about that. And not saying you're not right because you have a good season so far, but I think that's something maybe Ron Francis, like exactly what he did with Carey Price. That's something about this. And like GVR, a good pick, but again, maybe worry about him also. So I think overall, they not do. I just said feel
they
like
could have done something.
Yeah,
but I think Vince Dunn drives me nuts, Pierre. He's what he was in St. Louis. He is really scary in his own zone. He turns over the puck, and then he creates amazing plays.
They are the prototype, the player they are like this. Dyson Barry is another one like him. Right? They have a really good offensive player. They are really great offensive player. Move the puck, and you put them. Keith Yandel, Michael. That's another one over there.
That's the same guy.
Right? It's the same thing like that. So they are really, they have a specific role in hockey. When I said that, they are really great on power play.
Right.
Ken Yandel right now is doing the show right now about this. That's the reason why Panthers struggle on power play, because they don't have Keith Yandel. You can beat, again, him a lot. Or Yandel may be one of the best defensemen on power play in NHL about that. I don't know what's going on with me, Michael. I'm always against everybody this morning. I was hard on Donnie earlier. Now I'm going to be hard on Enotap. I'm not agree with Enotap when he said Montreal had to score first because Seattle really shut down.
I don't think they're a shutdown team at all.
Michael, at the beginning of the year. But right now, Seattle lost 3 games, 2 of the 4 games after they get the lead during the game. So Vancouver last game, they lead 2-1, and they'll slip the game between their hands in the last 4-2. So I don't want to be against the people. I just want to give my idea about what I saw so far.
I don't think I don't think Seattle has anything under control right now, Pierre. They can't shut anybody down. They are competing. That is what they are doing.
On the flip side, Michael, they should be a team can win 2-1, 3-2. They should do that.
They're not.
But they are not at that moment, and they cannot score. They are like Montreal. Montreal 1.67 and Kraken 2.17. Michael, do you believe you're going to see 8 goals tonight? I'll be shocked to see this. The 2 teams cannot score.
Yeah. I'd be shocked. Who knows? It's hard to say. The one guy, Donskoy, has not really put up points yet, has he?
Who?
Donskoy?
Who?
I'm trying to think if he's Jonas Donskoy for Seattle. The guy that came from Colorado and San Jose.
Donskoy. I don't know yet what he has, but Jordan scored the last game against Vancouver, by the way. I just want to mention that to you.
He's great.
Michael, for his age, it's going to be a big loss. Big loss for Calgary. At the same time, Calgary doing well, by the way. They won yesterday.
Look at that, 5-1. What the hell happened last night?
Just again, but the score don't show, Michael. It's 1-1, I believe, or 2-1 at the end of the second. I don't know the stat in front of me.
Yeah, but, it was 1-1 after the second. Tanev and actually it was 2-0. I'm sorry. It was 2-0 after the second. So Calgary was up early. Tanev scored, and then Mangiapane was having a great start, and he's really working out under Sutter. So that's kind of interesting. And the guy that's not working out at all is Monahan. I don't know what's going on there. Now, he is coming back from a very tough surgery. I get the hip surgery is not good.
That's Quinn Michael at 4 assists. Not too bad.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad.
0 goals, but 4 assists.
No goals. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard of them so far.
No,
so
I agree with you.
They tried to come back. It was 2-1, 3-1, but Calgary they led the whole game. So you got to give a lot of credit to Calgary. Tanev had a real good game, +2, 1 goal. Markstrom played real well. 28 of 29 shots he saved. Shesterkin was an 865, so he was a little off, but they got outshot 37-32. It's like the Rangers didn't even show up in this game.
But again, right, it's only 2-0 after that, right? And I think they scored 2-1, so that thought at that moment turn around. But after that, they scored right away, Calgary. I feel like after that, they shut down the Rangers after that. Great, maybe his best game, Coleman, with the Calgary Flames. This
that's
season,
good news for them.
Right? And then also, I think we don't talk about, I believe he's underrated in NHL. He reminds me a lot, Gallagher is Penny, Michael. Penny is the catalyzer of that team. We can say Kudrow, can see Kachuk, But again, he's the gun. I'm surprised yesterday. If you look about this, Matthew Tkachuk played only 13 minutes yesterday.
Interesting. I wonder if he's working his way in.
Monahan, Michael, 14 minutes.
So I think I'm worried about Monahan because he's coming off hip surgery, I think that's the injury.
He has something that we don't know yet. Every time that,
wrong,
but he's not what Monahan we know last 2 years now.
Well, and we know he played all last year with that injury, and I think that was a mistake. Like if you've ever had that injury, it can become chronic, and then the surgery leaves you very, very tight in your hips, and the recovery is long. Like you're strong because they say, "Oh, it's strong," but it's tight, and it's tough to move around. You don't feel the same. This happened to Jeff Friesen. If you remember, Jeff Friesen was a very productive NHL player, blew out his groin, had the hip surgery because it's all connected, blew out the other side, had to get it done, and he was never the same. When I talked to him, he was like,
"It's not happened at Pat Falloon."
Pat Falloon, maybe. Pat Falloon had other problems, but yeah, Pat Falloon.
Yeah.
If you look at guys that have it, it's tough to come back from them. It's
I'm certainly not. I understand your point. I agree with that. That the route you use, yes, they're supposed to shut down everything. I understand that part over there. It just did not happen yet for them. Maybe it could happen again in Montreal.
Yeah, they don't have anything down there.
Right. The first goal tonight would be really important because both teams don't score a lot of goals. So I don't expect, I'm going to be surprised this game, Michael, done like 2-0, 3-1, 3-2, an empty net at some point, but not like you said, Tap. I don't expect too much in this. Well, almost come back.
This is an interesting comment, and I haven't noticed this. He says that Monahan and Gaudreau, when things aren't going well, they don't lift themselves up out of it. And if that's true, that's not a good trait.
I'm not sure about Gaudreau, Michael, but I would definitely agree with him at the Monahan for sure.
Kelly wants to know if you'll be streaming the Habs game tonight.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. So the other game that was interesting, Columbus Blue Jackets are getting the best goaltending in the NHL. Like when you watch them, they're winning because Mizlurkins was serious when he said on all the offseason, I want to win a Vezina for Matthias.
Yeah, he's on mission right now. You can see that. Unfortunately, this game turned around to be a big incident from the fans for the Dallas to mess again during the game, talking to him about his best friend, everything like that. So he was so upset after that. And so it's something I would say to you, some stuff you cannot do as a hockey fans, and really bad comments for the fans about the loss of his best friend.
Really?
So yeah, so it was really on social media yesterday. Everywhere it was talking about that incident, where Mr. does not want to talk too much about this or mention more, but he was a fans, bother him because of the Matthews situation. But he feel like Matthews, he's with him. He got 3 posts yesterday. He said the karma turned around to be again the Dallas Star because the fans about this. So yeah, unfortunately that happened yesterday. But again, yesterday, me and Ottawa, we talked about this yesterday, and I said I would take Vegas to Columbus to win, Michael, because I'm always, how many times we was wrong, me and you, about Dallas, the inconsistency of that team. Yeah. And they show again yesterday, whatever Seguin scores second goal, Michael, that's not, they don't have. But I want to open up another door here, and if you give me about 30 seconds, I want to talk about the story. And, I love those stories because I'm a life coach. Gregory Hoffman, guys, he's 29 years old. He have an opportunity to play in NHL at that age. He scored his first goal in NHL. So my point to you guys is like about in life, whatever you do, if you continue to believe and you have a perseverance in life, everything could happen. Whatever he play 5 games, Michael, it's not a matter. He have an opportunity, he take a chance, he score a goal. But again, 29 years old, Michael, it's not happening a lot every day.
No.
It's, it's a story I think people don't talk about this, but think about this. You have 3 points and 6 games.
It's really, he was born in Switzerland, which is kind of interesting.
It's from Swiss, exactly. So he's always been good over there. Not like he's a bad player. He didn't have no chance, and finally he found the door open for him. And that's the kind of players like sometimes helping the team, like Columbus went out to step up, and they find him. Look what he got in the 41 point in Swiss year ago. We have 10 point international, 47-50, 51-50, and he never been nowhere. He's always been on the Sweden and the Swiss area. So just give you just an idea about them, and discover him. I don't said how many games he's going to play or anything like that, but he's a late players. You have to give credit for the scout and the management of Columbus to find a player like him. I don't know. He maybe play another goal in the show. I don't know. But I just want to mention because he was 29 years old.
It's amazing. Like he's been, I mean, the Swiss league's pretty solid. He's a veteran. He wore a letter. He played well in international play. Like he's very, very consistent.
He's a good offensive player, but now can he carry on there? I don't know, but
we're gonna find out. I bet you he has a good year.
But he said to us, what you thought on UB defense this season?
What was it? What are your thoughts on Huberdeau's defense? I don't know. I just care about him scoring 100 points.
No, but
he's good on the PK.
Michael Huberdeau, like Barkov, he improved his defensive coverage. 2 years ago, Michael, last year, the year before, that team, the last season with Hoffman and that enough. That team on zone coverage, Michael, was bad. Aaron Ekblad was bad. Everything like that. So those kids learned to get better on the zone coverage. And since that, they have a better year overall last season. Huberdeau, Michael. And, you can be an average defensive zone. You're not paid for that. You pay to make 90 points, and that's what he does right now. And when you do that, Michael, you're on the right side of the ice, right? Yep. When you have the puck possession on the offensive side, you don't go always on defensive. On the flip side, I would say to you also, the defensemen they have this year compared to 2 years ago, they are better. So that helped also the zone coverage for the players and like that. He improved that side, but Huberdeau is not going to be the next Philippe Danault or Bergeron here. But for what he does, I think overall he have a good sense of zone coverage at that moment.
Our friend Stefan Manberg has joined us late, so we appreciate you jumping on. The final game last night, I don't know what's going on in LA. They had a great camp, I thought, Pierre. There's a lot of talent there. There's veterans and there's young guys. They made the Danault signing. They brought in Arvidsson. Now they're missing Drew Doughty for an extended time, and that's a problem. The rest of the team, is not that bad. Like, I think Walker's playing well. Roy's playing well. Bjorn Foot looks really good. Motto's solid, but this team, they're having trouble scoring goals. And I can't quite figure out why, because they've got guys there that have a history of scoring now. It's not like last year. Like, this team has definitely improved. We saw Tarasenko pop a couple. David Perron scores. All in the third period. So this was a close game. But
if you see the nasty goal at Tarasenko, OMG. It was unbelievable, Tarasenko. It's a team I know, Michael, like the King are young, and they've tried to figure out everybody is off right now. And Kopitar, if he's not carrying on. But Michael, they're going to last a lot. Drew Doughty, that show yesterday. Whatever they try. He's the guy, transition, relents the puck and carry on the puck, and he bring a lot on the offensive side. But I think, Michael, on that division, what we thought Los Angeles maybe make the playoff, I think we have to consider now Calgary and San Jose.
Yeah, I right now they don't show anything. Although I will say, good game for Jonathan Quick again. So I think that's positive, because I think the other goalie, Cal Peterson's, had some struggles. And you can see, like, Jonathan Quick can still turn in great performances. 941 save percentage, made 32 of 34. Was the final goal an empty netter? It doesn't look like it. No, it doesn't look like it. So why is it only 32 of 34? That's kind of weird, isn't it? It says he only let in 2 shots.
Yeah, he's on empty net.
Oh, that's weird. Normally they show EN on the goal.
Yeah.
St. Louis is tough, though. But
it's a good thing they are undefeated this year. They show a lot. And I think it's coming. Yeah, and they have a lot of risk over there, right? Tarasenko, Then they have also Kostin now and Parshev. So it's a lot of Russian players over there. And Thomas and Tarasenko, Michael, I don't want to blame him, but he played on the third line.
I think he's going to they're going to treat him with kid gloves. He's missed a lot of hockey. That shoulder thing is really scary for me. And they don't need him to play 20 minutes right now. They need him to just play 80 games.
But you can see what happened, Michael. The game was starting to be tied after 2. He set down a lot, Kostin, and also Neighbor. So he protected the rookie yesterday a lot. Bozak played only 11 minutes overall. But look, I think overall that's a good team. And bottom on key, now Chengron is not going to ask for the trade. The only one will leave pretty much will be Kessel over there. That's really the only one I believe at that moment is going to be trade for them. Otherwise, they will keep what they have.
Who do you
think Arizona?
Oh, Chikrin. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see them moving him. Kessel, I could see them trying to figure something out with. Who do you think will move?
Kessel.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they'll try to do something there. Yep. Yossi is the best. Yeah, he is great. That is a great defenseman in Nashville. Tarasenko, nice goal per on empty netter. Okay, got it. Yeah, I thought that was an empty netter. It's just weird. Normally on the score sheet, they put it as EN, so it's empty.
I agree with you.
Finnish is better than Swedish. What are you talking about? What's with the Finns and the Swedes, man? They always got to scrap it out. Is Saad injured? I think he is hurt.
You're going to see Stefan Menberg jumping right now after that one.
Yeah.
No, Saad is on a COVID-19.
Oh, that's what it was. I knew he was out. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Shabbat and Zub are a good pairing. I like this pairing. Shabbat is taking his game to the next level, and Zub impresses more and more. Zub is now showing offensive side. I think Zub's going to be a real solid D for them, and they got a lot.
I think we have something to mention about this. We talk about Hoffman, Columbus pick him. Same thing happening with Ottawa about Zub. Nobody knows Zub last season when he showed up. You know what I mean? Like nobody came to him, and he's really good. The people scream to him in the building, and the Canadian over there, and he become one of the favorite players over there. But the underrated, a bit what Forsling does for the Panthers. I believe Zab does the same thing for Ottawa Senators. So great pick for them for sure.
Yeah, that has worked out very well. All right, so what are the games that are on tap tonight, Pierre?
We have 7 games on the NHL. Of course, Montreal Canadiens play at 10 o'clock at Seattle Kraken. I predict the Seattle Kraken is going to put another banners on the ceiling. My question, can they do this 82 times? I don't know. 41 times, but they're going to put the banners on 1917. They won the Stanley Cup. I do not be surprised they show this tomorrow again, tonight again, Montreal Canadiens. We will be live tonight earlier, and then we're going to do the live stream. So expect everybody to be here. 9 o'clock we'll be live talking a little bit all the game play tonight in NHL, and then we're going to go the live stream from 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock.
What is Stroming? Sir Stroming. I don't know what that is. Somebody got
Sweden stuff.
It's what is it?
It's a Sweden words. I don't know.
It's a Finnish. Is it Swedish or Finnish? Looks like Swedish. Does Ottawa have a banner from 1916? I think they might.
1917. They beat the Montreal.
Oh, that's what it was.
That's the reason why I mentioned about that. It's about smelling fish.
Does it taste good though?
And by the way, Johnny said David Harris start his career at 42 years old.
It's kind of crazy, right?
You talk about a goaltender, the Zamboni driver.
Back up the emergency recall, and he won. And who'd he beat? Toronto.
Carolina.
Yeah, played for Carolina with Toronto, right?
Yep. Dix Lizit is a nasty, sticky, conic fish that make people gag. By the way, welcome back, buddy. Dix, I think he's a returner here.
Yeah,
welcome back, I believe. So we forgot to mention you earlier. So thanks to join us. Everybody, don't forget, guys, to click on the like. That'd be awesome. I think we'll forget someone about this. I want to mention one, Michael. I don't know.
So many comments today, guys. Bud asks, how are the Everett Silvertips doing? Good question, Bud. Let me tell you how they're doing. 3 shutouts in 6 games, 6-0. First time ever. 6-0. That's a record. Beat Portland again. We're on a weird schedule because we don't know if we can cross the border yet into Canada. So hopefully that changes and we get some Canadian games scheduled. But so far, we don't have Dustin Wolf, we don't have Carter Hart, and Braden Holt and Cohen McKinnon have been playing amazing. And big credit goes out to our goaltender coach, who we should invite on actually was James Jensen. Jenner should come on. He's here in Huntington Beach, but he is the premier goalie coach out there right now. So I think we're really fortunate to have him.
Michael,
thanks, Kelly.
Michael, by the way, we have a Sweden and Finland connection a lot because right now, Andy Koivula back in the house from the Edmonton, but born in Finland. So welcome, buddy. Appreciate a lot to join us when he can. So a lot of connection, Michael, Finland, Sweden, and the chat today. So great to see each one of you. We'll be back tonight, Michael, 5 o'clock Eastern time. Me and Enota are going to do all the prediction of the game tonight. I apologize, I did not follow up. The big game, usually it should be the Golden Knight and the Avalanche. But I want to mention to you guys, the game is on the ESPN Live. So that's the first game, I believe, this season. Maybe the second time they show this. So you can watch on the cable, on the ESPN, the game. And, of course, the Lightning, Michael, for the second game of the season, play against the Penguins. Be interesting to see the Devils. Can they beat the Flames? A back-to-back game for the Calgary Flames. That's another game.
3-1, Devils 3-1. Those are crazy stories.
Yeah.
Golden Knights 1-4.
Smith is back, so they're helping them about this one over there. And Minnesota at Vancouver. This is another game to watch beside the Montreal Canadiens because it's a team right now. They are 4-1. Vancouver win the last 2 games. The Minnesota lost the last game, but they have a good start. So I think it'll be interesting to see that.
Ducks will lose tonight. I predict that. I think, I think the Wild are interesting. We're still waiting to see Kaprizov get his first goal, but he's got a lot of assists.
Yep, I agree with you about that one, Dan. The Jet situation, see the COVID-19 problem they have, so it'll be interesting to see that. Ducks struggled for the last 3 games, so it'll be interesting if they can come back. They're a little bit better. And Johnny said Montreal did not win in San Jose since 1999. You are absolutely right about that, Johnny, about this. We cannot remember the last game they won in San Jose. Always funny to see San Jose without Patrick Marleau.
I think it's a good thing. Time to move on.
No, but my point is like, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny to see that, for 20 years.
It's like a diehard there.
It's really. Andy said Moy. We know Moy. We said Moy to Andy. Everything like that. Anything else, Michael, before we leave at 12:15?
See you guys today.
Have an amazing, great day, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the morning skate show with Coach and Michael Devinano. We wish you an amazing, blessing Tuesday. We look forward to see you tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock. Of course, we'll be back with more hockey. Have a great day, everybody.